Assalamu alaikum, guys. My name is Hafsam with American Muslims for Palestine. We're with the New Jersey chapter. I'm not going to take too long. I just wanted to bring to your attention that we're going to be hosting a Palestine Advocacy Days coming up in October, and we want everybody to sign up. Palestine Advocacy Days is an event that the largest lobbying event for Palestinian rights in America. It's one of the largest events that we've done. We've been doing it since 2015. So this is an event where we do training, and then we go to Capitol Hill and we meet with our congressional representatives of our districts in the House, and also our Senate representatives. So we talk to them about vouching for and defending Palestinian rights in Congress and supporting bills that exist, and also to propose bills that we want to see come to fruition. So if you guys want more information, I'll be in the back and I'll be able to pass out some postcards or whatever information you guys want. You can check out the QR code. But if you have any questions for me, I'll be in the back, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. If you are going to be taking notes, and I think you should, Brother Wild just brought, Abu Omar just brought some notebooks. So grab one and use it. If you're not going to use it, leave it to somebody else. If you're somebody who's just here to listen and you're not going to write one word, then please let somebody else use it. Mashi? Say yes. Yes. Okay. طيب, before we get started and while they're distributing the material, I'd love for a couple of you to share some aha moments from the last session. You went home, you attended session, you went home, you thought about everything we talked about. What did we talk about last time? Do you remember? How about the first time? First time we talked about what? Were you guys here? Or this is a new group? You're here. So look, there's a cheat sheet on the screen. What did we talk about the first time? Come on, guys. Values. And last week, what did we talk about? Priorities and focus, right? Okay, and we said we need to focus so that we can do something about what it is that we're focusing on. I'm going to backtrack a little bit and go back to values and beliefs, because I think we went through it. بالعربي نقول سلكناها سلك. We went through it a little too fast. So the question I'm going to ask you is, it's a simple question. What is the value? What is the benefit of having values if you're not clear about your beliefs? شو فائدة القيم بدون معتقدات بالعربي؟ ما هي فائدة القيم بدون المعتقدات؟ What is يعني you have values. Give me an example of a value, an important value. Come on, give me loud. Honesty. Okay. What are your beliefs about honesty? I ask you, I say, what's important? What's an important value? And you say, to be honest. And I say to you, what does that mean? Because some people claim to be honest, but then they do things. So what does it mean to be honest? That's integrity. It's close, but it's not honesty, it's integrity. All right. لما الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في الحديث، أساعدكم شوي. في الحديث لما جبريل جاء للرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ووضع يديه على فخذيه وقال له يا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ما الإسلام? And then he asked him ما الإيمان? Then he asked him ما الإحسان? شو الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم عرف الإحسان? What did he say to him? أن تعبد الله فإن لم تكن تراه. How close is this to honesty? See what I'm saying? So if you said to me, I believe in honesty. بالنسبة لي, honesty اهم شيء انه الواحد يكون honest، انه الواحد يكون عنده شرف، عنده مظبوط. It has no value until they explain what they believe by it. You understand? The beliefs are just as important as the values. Let me use another example. How many of you believe that education is important? تعليم مهم. ماشي. So now here's the question. Give me a belief about education. معتقد يرتبط بالتعليم. Give me a belief related. I think education is important because fill the blank. Yeah. Because it helps you. Because it helps you build your future is a belief. You understand? It's a معتقد. It's a belief. So values without beliefs are worthless. It's not enough. Hold on a second. Let's take another example. مسيحي ومسلم. اثنين بيآمنوا بالله. They both believe in God. Do they? Are the beliefs the same? But the values are the same. هانا God وهانا Allah. It's the same word. بالإنجليزي عربي. It's the same word. So somebody comes to you and says, you and I are the same. And you see how so? Well, you're a Muslim. Yeah. Allah is important, right? Yeah. God is important to me. Yeah. So far, we're the same. But then you ask them, what's the next question you ask them? What are your beliefs about God? And then they say, well, you know, the whole thing about Trinity and this and that, and God died on the cross, and that's where we part ways. So you see, when you decide on values, I gave you a homework, and I'm going to wait until the end of the class, probably 13 weeks from now, to ask you to write it on a piece of paper. You have all this time to do it. So one day you're going to have 5 important values on a piece of paper. And next to each one, you have to be able to write, and this is what I believe about this. You understand? So that's one point I wanted to explain. Second point, I'm going to give you 2 scenarios, and I want you to use the material that we learned. This is, from day one, I told you this is an analytical framework, meaning that you use this to analyze situations. زي خارطة الطريق. It's a roadmap. Okay? So I'm going to give you real examples to teach you how to take this and apply it in real life. Here's the example. So I'm going to take off my jacket. So here's an example. The tragedy that happened in Libya. Specifically, the collapse of the 2 dams, السدين اللي انهاروا, and 20,000 people, الله يرحمهم, استشهدوا في الفيضان. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وتجاوز عن سيئاتهم قولوا امين. طيب. If you were to evaluate the situation by looking at the government, not other people now, let's look at the government. Is that a problem of value? It is a problem. There is a problem there. Now you're the consultant. You're coming in from out of state with an expensive attaché. You just landed first class ticket. You're getting paid $200,000 a day to evaluate the situation. You go and you say, and you look at the situation and you say, this is a problem of blank. What? Take a look at the board and tell me it's a problem of what? What is it related to? تفضلي. Is it a priority problem or a value problem? See, she's on the right track. It is actually a priority problem, stemming from a lack of value problem. You see how they're related to each other? It's a priority problem. ما عطوش أولوية لإصلاح الجسور فخربوا بيت الناس. مسؤولية مين هاي؟ مسؤولية الحكومة. هذول لو عندي أنا وأنا مسؤول عنهم بحطهم جنب الحيط وبرشهم. لأنه they deserve that. الناس اللي بتضيع أرواح الناس بهذا الشكل, they deserve severe punishment. Because, okay, But then if we said it's a priority problem, we are assuming what? We're assuming that it was a value in the first place. إنه على جدول أعمالهم, on their value list, they had an item there that said after, like there was an item number 1, go attack such and such location and kill a few of our comrades, of our ولاد عمنا. All this nonsense going on. They call it civil war, but it's really people killing their brothers and sisters. Let's say that was number 1 and there was number 2, and all of a sudden number 3, number 4, number 5, it's sur. Assuming somebody decided that the dams are important, they are a value. Are we done? Is that enough? For somebody to say, يا جماعة والله جسور هدول لازم نصلحهم. Is that enough? They did that in Katrina. Katrina, they knew that the levees were in need of repair. And it would have cost $3 billion to repair them in 2004. After they collapsed in 2005, after Katrina, which was exactly, it was just a few days ago, it was September 1st of 2005. How much did it cost to repair the mistake because of lack of prioritization and lack of proper evaluation? How much did it cost? 10 times what it would have cost initially. You see where I'm leading with this? If you don't value things properly and hold the right beliefs and then prioritize them and then execute, what winds up happening? You pay a very heavy price. Look, I'll give you a real example from real life. You have a little something on your forehead or here or there. It could be nothing, it could be something. You ignore it. You don't do anything about it. You go 6 months later and they say you have melanoma, la samahallah. La samahallah. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect you and protect us, protect everybody. Melanoma يعني سرطان جلد. So where did we go wrong? Health is not a value. If it was a value, this would have been there. There was lack of prioritization. We didn't put it on our schedule and say, let's go see our doctor and have him or her check it. And then after they check it, you would have had to do something. You see how you can apply this in so many different ways. And the more you use this method of thinking, the better you do in life. This is not entertainment I'm sharing with you. I'm sharing with you what is called an analytical framework, that when you have a problem or a situation, you put it in front of you, you try to figure out where the problem is. Is it a problem of priority? Is it a problem of beliefs? Is it a problem? Your son, أخ وائل, عندك شباب ما شاء الله في المدرسة؟ عندكم الله يبارك فيك. شو أي صف؟ جامعة. No, I need something younger. Let's say one of you guys here, and أبو أحمد, كم عمر الولد ولا البنت ما شاء الله؟ Is it enough that your son is in school to say, I'm in school, it's important? It's a simple answer, yes or no. No, then what else do we need? How much deeper do we need to dig? تفضل عمو. I'm sorry? Yes, but before that even, as a father, my son is in school. And he goes to school, he comes from school, the routine, okay? But there's a missing conversation. What is the conversation that should be taking place? He's learning, but more important than what is learning, because learning, we're way down in the red zone. I'm still in the blue zone. You're sitting down having a cup of chai with your son. What is a question you can ask in line with what we're talking about? Hold on a second. Go ahead, Am. Good. No, the first question is perfect. So you're going to school. Yeah. You're not missing any classes. Nope. Why do you think you're going to school? Turn the question a little bit around and frame it a little bit differently. Do you think what you're doing is important? And what if he just wants to brush you off and end the conversation? Says, yeah, it's important. How so? What are you looking for? Go back to the shell behind the value. Because he's telling you school is a value. And what are you looking for? A belief. What kind of a belief am I looking for from my son that I'm paying for his tuition? I'm sending him to school. What do I expect him to believe? You said it, Amo, earlier. What do you expect him to believe? That school is? And that it's going to do what? Help him where? In his career, in his life, in being smart, in everything that's out there. You see, dig. Most of the times we have short conversations that starts with one word or two and ends with another word, and we don't have the ability to continue. Most people sit across the table from each other at the dinner table, and then a minute later, each one of them is staring into his stupid iPhone, looking for likes or things because they have nothing to talk about. So I'm giving you a suggestion. The next time a value comes up, whatever it is, health, education, income, money, job, anything of value comes up. If you're talking about things that have no value, then just keep talking. There's nothing to talk about. But if something of value comes up, scratch the surface, dig a little deeper. Just like we just did. What does that mean to you? What do you hope to accomplish? Learn how to ask questions. You're not prying, you're just probing to try to help this other person who happens to be somebody you care about. And by the way, if they stop and say, why are you asking me all these questions? This is weird. You've been going to this Abbasi class and now all of a sudden, all I hear is question after question after question. Here's how you answer. I care enough about you to want to know that you know what you're doing. You're doing it out of care, not because you're spying on this person. You understand? So we're going to go a little deeper now. We go from the beliefs, from values and beliefs. Values are important, but beliefs are more important. Okay? Values are important. Beliefs are even more important. We go to prioritizing. We say if they are not prioritized, nothing's going to get accomplished. Because each one, look, if you don't prioritize your values, they prioritize themselves. There is a natural selection process where one kicks out the other and jumps in. And you want to study. All of a sudden, a friend cuts in. All of a sudden, you get a headache and you have to have aspirin. All of a sudden, things happen. So your priorities shuffle themselves, and until you decide what they are going to move around and confuse you, okay, on their own. There's no democracy there. So let's move on a little bit. We said that once you decide what's your top priority, you need to focus on it. And we said focus means what? Okay, so we focus on number one. I'm focused on number one. What am I doing? By being focused, what am I doing? Am I just staring at it? That now takes us to the next one. Focus means that you think about what it is that you're focusing on. So if you say to me, I'm focused on my studies, I have to assume that means you're thinking about your studies. Do you understand what focusing means here? If you're focused on your studies, it means you are thinking about them. You're using your mind. Yeah, and also there's a little bit of heart there. It means that your heart is telling you to stay there, not go somewhere else, okay? So bear with me for a second. What you think about has a tremendous influence on how you feel. They almost happen simultaneously. Let me ask you a question. What happens when you think about a loved one? We all have a loved one who passed away, don't we? Does anybody not have a loved one who departed? Nobody. I just lost my father. Before that, I lost my mother. I mean, that's life. That's life, right? How long does it take you once you bring their picture into your mind, you close your eyes and you think about them? How long does it take you to get choked up and want to cry? Think about it. What had just happened? You used your thought to control your emotion. See what happened? You just used your thought to control your emotion, except in a sad way. Now, let's flip the coin and think of a happy moment. If you were to close your eyes, try it. Close your eyes. All of us, close your eyes. If you're somebody who is recently married, think about your wedding day. If you're somebody who just had a baby, think about that beautiful baby. If you're somebody who just graduated, think about receiving that diploma. Open your eyes. How do you feel right now? Look at my face. This is not fake, wallahi. All you have to do is just think good thoughts, and you'll have happy feelings. You have miserable thoughts. There are some people, wallahi, ya akhu, ya akhwat, you look at their face and they always look like they are ready to fight. And I am tempted to walk over to this person and say, what's on your mind? The problem is most of the times we ask the wrong question. We say, how you feel? Well, I could see how they feel. They look miserable. They look like they're ready to fight. They're ready to punch somebody. Don't ask how you feel. I can tell how they feel. Somebody may look miserable. Your child comes from school and she looks like she's been beat up or bullied or something. Or your son, same thing. Instead of looking at them and saying, oh, how you feel? You know what they should say? Can't you see my face? How do I look like I feel? The better question would be what? Based on what I just said to you, a better question would be what? What's what? What's on your mind? What's on your mind? If you say what's on your mind, you're going to hear a question like, I'm not sure I did good in the exam that I had today. Ah, I see somebody here. Okay, looks like this was a real example. Okay, so you look at somebody who doesn't look good, and you say to that person, you say, what's on your mind? When you ask people what's on your mind, most of the times, that is a better question than, so how you feel? How do I feel? I look miserable, don't I? So what do you want to know? So this is very important. And how would you use this analytical framework? Again, look at the word feeling. You're not feeling good. You walk out, or you look at somebody, it's you or somebody you care about, not feeling good. That means that there is some negative emotion, negative feelings going on. What do? Do you go forward or backward? Backward. And you ask about what? The one that came right before it. Now, what if somebody says, I don't know, I just got these negative thoughts that are just driving me nuts. So where's the problem? Go one step further. Backward. What's the problem? What kind of focus? The right focus or the wrong focus? So you see what I'm saying? Somebody says, I feel miserable. Why? Because I have bad thoughts. Why do you have bad thoughts? Because you're focused on the wrong thing. Why am I focused on the wrong thing? Because I made it a priority. Why do you make it a priority? Because you see what I'm saying? you go backward until you find out where the problem is. When you find out where the problem is, 90% of the solution is there. You cannot solve human problems without having some kind of an analytical framework like this one so that you can go backward and forward. This is what psychiatrists and psychologists do. They don't come to you and say, how do you feel? They ask you questions like, what's on your mind? Because that explains how you feel. And if what's on your mind is driving you nuts, they want to know, why is it on your mind? It's on your mind because you're focused on it. Why are you focused on it? Because you made it a priority. Is that a choice or is that forced on you? Okay, 90% of the time you have a choice in what is number one and number two and number three. Sometimes some of them are forced on you. And I gave you an example last week. We said that if a mom is sitting at home, she gets a phone call from school. What's the first words out of her mouth? She's going to look at the screen and say what? أنتوا عرب ولا لا؟ بتقولوش يا ساتر. You don't say that? يا ساتر تستر. We say that or لا? يا لطيف. Oh my God, what could that be? Does that sound familiar? Not to you, but to your mothers. You hardly ever get that. If it's your mom on the phone, it's like, it's mom. You know, to you, it's like, don't bother me. But to your mom, her heart drops. You're in school. You're driving. You just started driving. That's the worst one. Listen, one of my daughters probably been driving 20-some years. I bought her her first car in 2000. Still remember it like yesterday. She is class 2000, was born in 82. So in 2000, I bought her her first car. So that's 23 years ago. She visits our house. She goes home. She lives in Fairfield, we're in Cliffside. Distance, exactly 22 miles. My wife has Life 360. She turns it on. She keeps looking. She's halfway there. She's almost there. She's there. Not only that, she calls her up to make sure it's her who's driving the car. That, la samahallah, she hasn't been hijacked or something, or carjacked. It's like, Ghadir, how was the drive? Good? Okay, go put them to sleep. Sabah al khair. That's a mom. Now the difference is the dad, me, stands there and listens and watches the mom do all that good work. So she spares me the agony of having to do it myself. But my heart is there, trust me. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a sequence where everything's linked to everything else. Would you say that we all have a problem on a daily basis with at least one of these? Say yes. Yeah, we all do. So would you believe that now you have the ability to kind of like scratch your head and say, I have this problem because of that. Or if it's not that, it's because of the previous one. And you just keep going back and forth. Does this make sense? Okay, I'll take a question or two. I think I saw a hand there. Did I answer your question, Amo, or was there a comment? Any questions? Any inquiries about what we talked about? No? Okay, so today I'm going to introduce another concept that is extremely important. And it's called, understanding this could mean the difference between failing and succeeding, guys. Listen to me. There's a concept of limiting beliefs. There's the concept of limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs, not limited beliefs. Limiting beliefs. Limiting like a verb here. Something that limits you. So limiting beliefs are beliefs that you have that are holding you back. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Limiting beliefs are beliefs that hold you back. Now, do you think if you have limiting beliefs that it's important to get rid of them? Yes or no? Because if you don't, what do? They're like shackles. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and then I want you to volunteer to share with me one or two. So I'm going to share with you a limiting belief. We can only have a white president. And then what happened? And then Obama showed up. But until Obama, nobody believed that there could be a black president in this country, especially considering that the civil rights continued through the 60s. All right? That until the 60s, there were places where there was a sign at the door that said no blacks or Jews allowed. And you're talking about if 1960, 65, 70, you said to somebody, you're going to have a black president in America, what do you think they would have done? That'll be the day. Right? Do you believe? What if one of your daughters said, I want to be president? Is that a limiting belief? Is that let me rephrase it. How many believe that we can have a woman president in this country? Okay, you see? So it's no longer a limiting belief for you, the ones who raised their hand. The ones who didn't raise their hand, I'm not so sure because they're not willing to share. And that's fine. You understand? So let me give you another example of a limiting belief. Success is really hard. Is that a limiting belief? Yes or no? Believe it or not, inaction is a lot harder. I've experienced a lot of success in my life, alhamdulillah. And let me tell you, wallahi, failure is a lot harder than success. There are courses being taught on success all the time. But I've never seen anybody teach a class on failure. What do you think that is? Yeah. You know, it's the problem. It's part of it. But the real problem is that people think that if they learned a method or two about how to succeed, that somehow they're going to succeed. There are millions of ways to succeed, but a handful of ways to fail. And people keep failing every single day, but rarely does anybody ever teach a course. Here's what you do when you fail. Here's a course called Failure 101. There's Success 101, but Failure 101, I've never heard anybody teach a class on failure. So when we fail, what happens? Most of the times, what happens when you fail? Yeah, what do you? That's if you have the courage, to stand up. Most people do what? They quit, they give up. They say it's not for me. So it turns immediately into a limiting belief. Oh, I can't do that. How many have this limiting belief? Math is difficult. Physics is difficult. Raise your hand. Chemistry is difficult. Put your hand down. Chemistry is difficult. Sports are difficult. No hands are going to go up here. Oh, one. Okay. Let me share a true story with you. I was number one in chemistry in the entire country. Lordun Jamia. No, you don't have to clap. This was like 55 years ago. I have a brother, only 1 year younger than me, who was the worst in chemistry. And when I would ask him and say, Ahmed, what's wrong? He'd say, I hate chemistry. This is long before I learned all of this. We're talking about more than 50 years ago. Wallahi, we're talking about 1972. That's how far back. So I took the time. Here's my brother. Have you ever heard the story about the kid who was carrying his really big brother? And they said to him, he is so heavy, how can you carry him? You know what was his answer? He ain't heavy, he's my brother. See, if he's your brother, he is not heavy. He's your brother. Your brother can never be heavy. So in this example, he was my brother. I sat down with him and I explained to him chemistry, analytical chemistry. I explained to him organic chemistry. I explained to him everything he needs to know. كل اللي عايز اتعلمه بالكيمياء علمته اياه. Not in one day, like, I stayed with him. Wallahi, it became his favorite topic. It became his favorite subject. What's the difference? Why did he hate chemistry first? Now all of a sudden he doesn't hate it anymore. What's the difference? Yeah. Okay. Let's look at the screen again. Before he hated it. Now he likes it. The word hate and like, where do they fit? Where do they fit there on? Not this one. Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Where do they fit on the schematic, on this analytical framework? Which square? Give me a word. Give me one word. These are feelings. What caused them? Thoughts. What kind of thoughts? In addition to negative thoughts, simply not knowing what the heck is in this book. Those are thoughts. When you look at a book and you see an equation that says this is how you make soap, C17H35 COO and H plus NaCl equals blah, 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 and you put the formula this long for how to make soap. Okay, I still remember it from 50 years ago. Chemistry is in my blood. It wasn't in his. Once he learned that, it became what? Easy. Means it felt like what? Good. So if there is a topic that you hate, those of you who raised your hands and said, I hate what? Physics, math, chemistry, all of those things, right? I'm going to give you one word of advice. Go find a good tutor. I'm serious. Go find a good tutor. Nowadays, they're available online. You can hire Academy, what's the name of that one? Khan Academy for free, and there's others for money. Okay, so you hire a good instructor. You find the money somehow and you pay them. I don't care if you pay $100 an hour. Before you know it, that dislike you have for it is going to change. Because what has just changed? Your thoughts. And all of a sudden, once your thoughts change, your heart will change. Why is that so important? We'll talk about that in a second. Let's move with a couple of more examples about limiting beliefs, because I want to make sure you understand how serious they are. Here's one. The economy is so bad. You know how long I've been hearing this, the economy is so bad? Ever since I came to this country. Wallahi, as far back as 74. Oh, Carter days, they were bad days. The dot-com crisis. Oh, the crash of 87. Oh, the crash of 1990. My God, the crash of 2006 and the crash of 2008. And there's always going to be a crash. The economy is the economy. That's what the economy does. When you blame your situation, your financial situation, let's say you're a business person, when you're blaming it on the economy, you're just having a limiting belief. You just haven't figured out how to deal with this changing economy. That's the end of the story. How did I learn this? I used to be in real estate. And one year, I think it was 2008, I was trained by the chairman of the company. So you couldn't get higher than that. The only person between me and the chairman was the CEO. And I was a director right under the CEO. So I learned from the best. And one day he comes in and he says, so how are things? And a whole bunch of us, there was 30 of us, 30 directors, almost all together in unison. We all said, oh, it's bad out there. He said, really? How bad? It was like really bad. He said, all right, let me just put two numbers on the board and see if you understand. So he put the number 6, and under it, he put the number 5. He said, you know what that 6 is? We said, no. He said that 6 million properties sold. We were in real estate sales. Okay, that was our business. He said $6 million, 6 million properties sold every year in America. We said, okay. He said, now things are bad, right? Yep. Well, do you know how many sold in the last 12 months? We said, no. He said, right there, 5. So it went from 6 to 5. How bad is that? Right away, we said like, wow. You would think when you hear people saying things are bad, you would think it went from 6 to what? Like 0. We behave like it went from 6 to 0. You understand? It didn't. It adjusted a little bit, and all it took from us was to remove our limiting belief and realize that things are not that bad. Just get off your horse and do what you need to do. You see the difference between limiting beliefs and not limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs can destroy you. They sneak up on you, and you don't even know they're there. Unless you have the ability to ask yourself questions, or you have a good relationship with somebody who has a coaching personality like I do, who would sit there and ask you good, honest questions, you'll never figure out what is shackling you and holding you down. You need to have somebody who's honorable enough or honest enough to ask you the hard questions so that they can find out what your limiting beliefs are for your own sake. Here's another limiting belief. So, the economy is normal. The economy is always going to be up and down. Another limiting belief. I don't have a PhD. That was mine 20 years ago, until I realized that I had PhDs in my class sitting down taking notes. Do you think that remained a limiting belief? It's not a degree. Bill Gates doesn't have a degree. He doesn't have a PhD. If you know what you need to know, then you know it. A degree or no degree, what's the difference? I can't move. I can't do the. I can't move in my company with my hijab on. Hijab is going to hold me back. Well, a sister wrote this. She said, "What's inside shines." I'm still trying to figure that out. The sister who designed this for me, she designed the PowerPoint. She wrote that. But my response is, have you seen Ibtihaj Muhammad? Do you know who Ibtihaj Muhammad is? She was here? So you know who's Ibtihaj. Did she complain about her hijab? Yeah, no? Do you think it was a limiting belief? But no, she may complain, but was it a limiting belief? Did it stop her from being the silver medal winner in fencing in the last Olympic? Absolutely not. You see, that's the point. My daughter had a hijab on. At one point, she was in charge of 2,600 people in my company, taking orders from her and saying, yes, ma'am. Think she had a limiting belief? Absolutely not. If she did, I would have fired her on the spot. She had to know that she is who she is. She knows what she's doing. All she needs to do is execute on it. No limiting beliefs. Today is the last day you should have limiting beliefs. And if you have any, get rid of them very fast. Education is expensive. Is it? Try ignorance. That's a bumper sticker. It says, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance and see how expensive that is. We saw how expensive it is in Libya, where a bunch of idiots made the decision not to repair those dams, and now we see what happens. So let me ask you another question. How do we explain natural disasters to non-Muslims? This is heavy. This is philosophical, and it's the last heavy point I'm going to lay at you, and then we're going to loosen up a little bit. How do you explain natural phenomena like earthquakes, what just happened in Libya, floods, and so on? How do you explain it to your kids or to anybody who's asking, saying, yeah, what's going on here? How do you explain it? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Take a shot at it. I'm sure you've had that thought. Yeah. You may choose to go through the science and say platelets moving and all of that. Yeah. But suppose you're just having a general conversation. How did the sheikh explain it to you? What did he say? Huh? Yeah, but what about the phenomenon itself? الزلزال والفيضان. تفضل يا أختي. That's yeah. Yeah. Okay, so she gave two answers. One answer is that you hear some people say it's yeah, it must be punishment from Allah. And in my mind, I'm thinking, really, are the Libyans worse than the Israelis? Are they worse than the Chinese who are killing our Uyghur Muslim brothers and sisters? Or the other idiots in Myanmar who are burning Muslims alive? So the punishment argument goes out of the window in a split second, because there's no way that Muslims are that bad that they're getting punished that bad. Okay, so that's one. Second, oh, it's a test from Allah to see our faith is strong or not. The ayah very clearly in Surah Al-Baqarah, حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب. One ayah. The other ayah, ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات. طب ليه يا أخي؟ ليش ربنا قاس علينا بهذا الشكل؟ يعني واحد, is it a fair question? استغفر الله, مش قصدي انه يعني انه لا سمح الله نكفر, يعني انا بسأل السؤال حتى نتعلم. هل فعلا, طب ما رب العالمين بيقول ولو يؤاخذ الله الناس على كفرهم ما جعل عليها ما ترك عليها من دابة. If Allah Azza wa Jal was to hold us accountable for our actions, He would have wiped every living thing on the earth. Would you believe this ayah or something else? Those people who say, ما نزل بلاء إلا بذنب. Okay, is it a hadith? No. Is it an ayah? No. Where did that come from? People that try to make you believe that the Libyans are paying for their own faults. There is a faulty belief. I'm going to bring it back to beliefs. There's a wrong belief among people that whenever something happens, immediately blame the victim. A girl gets attacked. I'm not going to use a difficult word to hear. Okay? The first question people ask, what was she wearing? Really? Are you kidding me? Are we going to look for the person who attacked her, or are we going to try to find something wrong with her? There's a tendency in society to always blame the victim. You understand what's wrong here? So how do we explain natural disasters? This is the last heavy point I'm going to lay at you tonight. And this is from the philosophies of Ibn Sina and Ibn Rushd. Well, Halak would probably know this one. It's very simple. كل شيء مخلوق يتناقص. Everything created is imperfect, and it comes with the territory. The earth was not created perfect. It was created good enough for us to live on, and for us to take care of, and for us to protect ourselves, make sure we don't drown the next time there is a rainfall. That's our job. When things go wrong, whose fault is it? Before you answer, no place on earth has more earthquakes than what? Which island? Which place on earth? Japan. How come we don't see tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands dying in Japan every day? Why do you think so? Why not? What? How are they preventing massive damage? What did they do? It's a simple science question, Ammo. You should know that. Engineers did what? They designed buildings that when there's an earthquake, they lean right and left and right and left, but they don't topple. Do you see the difference? So a lot of what happens to us, this is a belief issue, huh? I'm trying to change your belief. A lot of what happens is caused by somebody not doing his job. And in most cases, when it's happening in the Muslim world, the finger is pointing where? Straight to the top, to whoever is in charge. They are robbing the country. They are stealing its resources. They are driving the smart brains out of the country overseas to go service Japan and Europe and America. Hijrat al-Admigha. Did you ever hear about migration, brain migration out of the Muslim world? You know what that means? It means you and I here instead of there. I was an engineer. Why wasn't I an engineer in Amman or in Egypt or somewhere else? Why was I an engineer here serving Exxon Corporation? Why? Because these people are willing to pay the price. And because they steal, they're thieves. We know our Menendez is a thief. We know they're thieves. But they leave something for the people. Over there, they steal everything. They leave nothing. So back to beliefs. You had a belief that all of this bad stuff is happening is caused by Allah. And it's Allah is testing us. And really? You know, if you were to talk like that to somebody who's not a Muslim or a Muslim with weak iman, you just made them like Allah more or less. Is that da'wah? There's got to be something wrong with this logic. It's the wrong belief. The right belief is everything that is created is imperfect. And it has to end. There's an ayah in the Quran, إِنَّا نَأْتِي الْأَرْضَ نَنْقُصُهَا مِنْ أَطْرَافِهَا. Allah Azza wa Jal says we're going to chip away at this earth until one day it's no longer there. You see? So it's important for you to examine your thoughts, examine your beliefs, because they influence how you behave, what you do, and they can make a big difference in your life. I'm going to stop here. Next time, inshallah, we're going to make the move from feelings to the red. The red zone is where results start showing up. In the blue zone, we're in our head. We are legends in our own mind. We are still up here. Until we take action, there's nothing to show. I don't care if you have 5 PhDs. If you don't have anything to show, then you don't have anything to show. You're a legend in your own mind. That's all you are. Okay, so let's take a question or two and wrap it up, inshallah. A question? Comment? Question? Wow. Either I'm so good or you have no idea what I'm talking about. Guys, I need one of you to come up and absolve the rest of you. Sometimes I get the impression you're asleep. Anybody? Any comments? Any questions? Any aha moments? Yeah, تفضل. That's a great question. Next time I'll bring a flip chart, and I'll give you 5 steps on how to go from delusions. We don't call it delusions. We call it the entrepreneurial approach to success. In other words, try everything and hope something will stick. You ever heard the example of grabbing some mud and throwing on the wall and hope some will stick? That's called the entrepreneurial approach. Versus the purposeful approach. The purposeful approach, ironically, starts with focus. But then there is other steps. You have to look at what are my options. You have to look at a model that works. You have to understand it, implement it, and put some accountability in place. That's a success plan. Ask me about it until I put it on the board, and you can actually walk away with it. It's a very good question, the best one I got so far. If I had a book with me, I didn't get a chance to get books. You know what? I owe you a book. Okay? I owe you a book, inshallah. All right. No, seriously, that was a really good question, because here I am talking about unlimiting beliefs, and he is concerned that I might be talking about being delusional. I'm not. there is a plan for people who have unlimited beliefs. I'll take a question or comment from the sisters. Go ahead, Akhti. Yeah. Yeah. I think the problem is that many times we mismatch the personality of the tutor with the student. Let me give you an example. There's 4 major personality types. Remind me to elaborate on this next time. There is what's called the high D, the doers. These are the people that say, just give it to me, give it to me. Min al-akhir. Bring it from the end. In other words, if you can say it with 1 word, don't use 2. My wife's like that. If you ever ask my wife a question, a 1-word answer is a sentence to her. She's like, yep, what? That's all. She has no time for a second or a third word. Okay, there are people like that. They're called high Ds. Then there's high Is. The high Is are always celebrating something. To them, the whole world is a big party. They're always laughing, smiling, passing jokes. They never met a stranger. They're always high-fiving each other. These people love to hang out with other people. Then there's the S personalities. These are people that are introverts that hold inside and that are a little too concerned that they would be construed as being weak. So they want to be thought of as weak, so they don't ask for help. But they're willing to trust, and if they trust you, they will listen to you. But if they don't trust you, they won't listen to you. So the S. Then there's the C type, the compliant type. These are detail-oriented people. These are people that they need an instructor who says, listen, this is how you learn chemistry. You need to learn these 15 formulas. Let's start with number 1. Tomorrow we'll do number 2. And then 15 weeks from now, we'll do number 15. When we do number 1, here's instructions for 1. Here's instruction for 2. And they say, give me more, because they want more. You see? So there's 4 personality types. You bring an S personality and put a high D trainer. You think that's going to work? How about vice versa? A high D personality and you bring a trainer who's detail-oriented. The high D student is going to hang himself. He's like, Mom, I can't take this guy. He talks too much. You see what I'm saying? And there's the I personality, the social person. To that person, everybody is cool. You know, and they'll get along with it. Every personality is different. The problem is, if you don't understand the personality types, and you don't have the ability to distinguish your sons from each other, which one is the D, which one is the I, which one is the S, and the C. This is a course by itself that I teach in about 2 hours. It's a bonus. When we're done with this, inshallah, I'll bring the PowerPoint and I'll teach it to you. The last time I taught it to a group of, there's a pharmacist, Hashim Zebek in Milwaukee. I trained his salespeople so that they were pharmacists, so that when somebody walks through the door, by the time they reach the counter, they know what type of personality they are. They may need to ask a question or 2, and that's it. Once they figured out what their personality, they know how to interact with them based on their personality type and close the sale right there and then. The second time, after I gave the training, he had about 15 people and 1 pharmacy. Second time I went a couple of years later, he had 7 pharmacies and 107 people. He's related to Abu Quaik, the one on Crooks Boulevard, pharmacy. Ghada Abu Quaik. He's Ibn Amha Bikun, Hashim Zebel. So this is real stuff I'm sharing with you. This is not theory. What I'm sharing with you is practical ways that you can learn how to communicate with the loved ones around you, your sons, your daughter, your husband, and how that could improve the relationship tremendously. This can solve marital problems. It can solve parent-child problem, brothers with each other. It can solve every problem. But again, that's a bonus. That's in addition to this. This is the foundation. Once we lay this foundation, inshallah, I can come back and give that one as a bonus, inshallah. طيب. يعطيكم العافية. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك. Together. Stop. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان في خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات تواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم.